What?
It's time now for My Two Favorite Librarians. Brought to you by the Copper Tree Boutique in Dale's Grand Market, located in beautiful, historic downtown Amherst.
Hi, this is My Two Favorite Librarians. I'm Denise Corey.
I'm Chantel Taylor.
I was making her laugh before we started, and now we're like laughing. It's okay.
Today, we're talking about romance.
Yeah.
Because it's almost Valentine's Day.
It's your favorite subject.
It's my time to shine.
Which you talk about in every show anyway.
I try.
So, yeah, I thought I would just like give you, just go. Just talk about romance, and then...
Before we start, do we want to do March break up front?
Yes.
Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
All right. So March break is upon us. And much like everything, it's completely different this year. So it is February now. We are planning and getting ready for March break, which is what? March? I don't know when it is. It usually contains the St. Patrick's Day.
is like sandwiched in the middle. So it probably starts on like the 13th.
Yeah, maybe.
Wow, we're so prepared.
So, each day during March break week, Julie, I'm not going to say we, because let's face it, Julie's doing all the work, will be posting a new video on our Facebook page with a take and make activity. Kits for the take and make will be available for pickup at all of our branches on Friday, March the 12th. All participants must, that's in capitals and bolded, pre-register for each activity as the amount of kits at each branch is limited. There'll be a variety of activities taking place, puppet shows, crafts, family game night. There'll be lots of activities to keep people active, have some activity, but we will be doing no in-person programming, which is a big difference this year.
Everything will be virtual, except, you'll come into the branch and pick up your activity packs. And she has some fun activity packs planned.
She does. So she does have our sort of one of her big programs is a family game night. And we've got like packages of Uno, and we're printing off a board game, and
there's
they're doing Yahtzee. And so there's all kinds of stuff that people can pick up.
Yeah, so there's going to be fun things. It's just none of it will be happening in the library.
Here in person.
Yeah.
Please pre-register so you get your kit. If you show up here on Monday of March break, there may not be any left. That is a possibility.
Yeah.
So, it's a bit weird this year, but you can check out any of our youth programs on our Facebook page, and Julie's uploading there constantly. So, we'll be talking about March break for the next month.
Yes, we will. This year is just, and I say this year, but it's another year.
Yeah.
It's just going to continue on.
Hopefully by the time summer rolls around, we'll at least be able to do outside programs.
Yes. Yeah. If we keep going the way we are now, and I'm knocking on wood,
yes,
we should be able to do outside programs in the summer, and that will be fun, and we'll do some things, but we'll also still have some virtual programs.
Yes, yeah.
But for March,
we can't guarantee that we're going to be able to go outside. So virtual it is.
Yeah, it'll soon get better. Okay, I want to start complaining.
Okay, go ahead.
So I am reading a romance book.
Yes.
It is not a romance book that you recommended. It is one that I picked up because I've been giggling about the title for forever. Do you know what it is?
I have a feeling I saw it on your desk the other day. So it's one of the Badger books.
It's Hot and Badgered. It's the first Badger book. It's a contemporary paranormal romance. And they're all like shifters of some sort. So there's were honey badgers and were grizzly bears and were jackals.
Do they call them weres or do they call them shifter bears? And because sometimes there's a difference in the lore between shifters and were. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Do they call them were badgers or are they badger shifters?
I don't know. Here is my problem. Besides the shifting thing. Okay, that's fine. I get that. That's, paranormal. Fine. I am 80 pages in. They have introduced so many characters.
Yeah, this is a big series.
So many characters.
There's a bunch of sisters.
There are 3 sisters in the main family.
Yes.
Charlie, Max, and Stevie. Then there's the grizzly bear that Charlie meets when she's on the run from some paramilitary group.
And they usually have, if it's like the shifter romance that I'm currently reading, they have like multiple babies at a time. So like everybody's twins and triplets.
Yeah. So yeah, he has a brother and a sister and they're triplets. And then he has cousins or something.
Yeah.
And then
They're setting it up for a big series.
He's protecting this guy who is supposed to be this like super famous classical pianist, and he's a jackal. And then there's that guy's sister. And then even they go, okay, so the grizzly bear gets injured when the paramilitary group comes to grab Charlie. She is a werewolf / honey badger. The doctor at the hospital is a cheetah.
Yeah.
Like, literally everybody is some sort of shifter.
Yeah.
And there are 100 million characters. I am on page 90. And it contradicts itself already, all the time. Because Charlie is like the only shifter who has eye problems. So she's nearsighted, which means you can't see far away. Except that at one point, she goes to give her sister some medication and she can't read the bottle. Well, that's seeing things up close. And then she turns and looks over at the guy who she just describes as being a blur. She can't tell who, like, make out anything. But she's like, you have a little blood on your neck. Okay, how can she see that if she can't even make out a bottle in her hand? And then she has allergies, so she can't smell anything either. So she can't smell that they're like other shifters. I'm so angry.
Are you going to DNF this book?
Probably.
I couldn't get into this series either. I don't think I made it 20 pages. I was annoyed with Charlie within 5 minutes.
I really, like, realistically...
Or, sorry, what's her name? Is it Charlie?
Charlie,
okay.
yeah. Realistically... Oh, yeah. And then there's, like, they've just introduced, within the last 3 or 4 pages, this whole Scottish family that is the other side of their family. So now there's other cousins, and I'm like, what is happening? So...
She's hoping for a big series.
Realistically, I realize that you and I are supposed to be on here making people want to read books. And I'm just destroying it.
Some people, like, I've heard really good things about this series, and it keeps coming up on my recommendations when, like, I'm trying to think. I get a couple of newsletters every, like, romance book newsletters, and this series constantly gets mentioned, and I'm just like, oh, now maybe I should start at book 2. Maybe book 1, she was setting the stage and she hasn't quite hit her stride, and book 2 is better.
I'm not going to move on to book 2. And then I had picked up...
I may consider reading the one because there's one where there's a panda shifter.
There's a panda shifter in this one.
Yeah, that's
so
probably
obviously, yeah, because he's like dating a honey badger shifter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I was going to read The Virgin and the Gypsy by D.H. Lawrence, which I showed you the cover of, and you were like, don't read that. Don't do it.
We should talk about this next week when we're talking about banned books, because number 1, slur in the title, which I realize it's a historical book, so that's the terminology they were using.
It was written in 1926, yeah. But please let me read the cover blurb, because the cover blurb is probably the best thing about the book. The minister's daughter. Her father taught her about God. The gypsy taught her about heaven. And then other than that, I started to flip through the book and I was like, it's pretty racist. And I just don't have time to, I don't care that D.H. Lawrence is a product of his time and that there's like, you know.
I read Lady Chatterley's Lover.
I didn't.
It was fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so those are my
romance.
Those are my romance. Now you go ahead and talk about everything else. I'll just sit back here and read a different book.
So I was trying to figure out, romance is a pretty big, huge topic. There are a ton of books published every year. There's a huge back catalog. There, you know, I'm listening to podcasts. I'm watching BookTube, seeing things on Bookstagram. I'm constantly inundated with new titles. And much like my reading in general, I'm really picky about what I want to read. So how do I narrow it down to 20 minutes or whatever it is we're going to do? So I thought for this one...
Well, you don't, because you talk about romance every week.
Yes, but I try to talk about things that are
relevant to the other topic.
I thought I would talk about new romances coming out this year. And what I was hoping to do when I started putting this together was not talk about the same books that I always talk about, but what I've got is a list of books and series that I've already talked about that are coming out. So I didn't do what I set out to do. So first and foremost, I've mentioned it before. It was one of my favorite books of last year, Talia Hibbert and her Brown Sisters. Now, this is a book you may want to read, Denise. I enjoyed Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Take a Hint, Danny Brown was even better, which I just read this month, actually. And the third book is coming out March the 4th, and it's called Act Your Age, Eve Brown. And I believe it's a enemies to lovers romance. Very much looking forward. I'm loving these sisters. Cannot say enough good things about this series. Another series that I talk about constantly, or another couple that I talk about constantly, is Jen and Klepis. This isn't romance per se.
Because they've branched off into cozy mystery.
Yes. So it's the Solving for Pie series. The first book was called Engagement and Espionage, and the second book, which is coming out in March, is called Marriage and Murder. And again, very much looking forward. I'm hoping that the audiobook comes out at the same time as the print version. I had to wait an extra month or two for the last one because I just love hearing their voices. Just love it. So good. So a friend of mine, I was complaining the other day that I can't find any pajamas. I'm very specific about the pajama bottoms that I want to wear. And she said, "Oh, I'll make you pajamas. They're really easy." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Great." And then 2 days later, I found out that there's Winston Brothers material that you can get. And I was like, can I order this to get my pajamas made out of Winston Brothers? But it's actually fairly expensive once you do the conversion and the shipping. So I may wait until we're out of COVID to try and order those again.
You should get like a whole suit made out of it.
I don't want a whole suit. I just want pajamas to sleep in. That's all I'm looking for.
You just want to sleep with the Winston Brothers in the sense that they are pajamas.
Yes. I've been waiting forever for this book to come out. There's still conflicting information about when it is coming out. So in case you've never listened to this radio show before, Tessa Dare's Duchess's series. Dutch Eyes. Pretty sure it's called the Duchess's series. There's too many S's. The Duchess Deal was the first book. It's one of my favorite Tessa Dare books. Book 4 was supposed to come out last April, I think. And it was put off because of COVID. And it was put off till July. And then it was put off to 2024. And it's like... What?
2024?
2024. So,
wow.
Conflicting. A lot of people have on their list saying it's coming out in 2021, February 2021. They have The Bride Bet, which is book 4 in the Duchess's series.
Okay, now that I know that is difficult for you to pronounce, I'm going to find ways to fit that in all the time.
Well, Duchess is fine, but Duchess is plural. So, fingers crossed that it really is coming out in February. Tessa Dare's website says to be announced. I don't know why they would push it off 3 years. Obviously, the book is finished. If it was supposed to be out last April, they're just trying to find a good time to put it out so people will read it.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why 3 years' time would be that opportune moment. So I'm hoping that...
Well, and I feel like when they've pushed something out for 3 years, what they're really saying is we have not set a date.
Yes. So I'm hoping that in the next couple of weeks, I don't think it's going to be out next month, but I'm hoping it will be out this year. And I'm really, really super cranky about it. I want that book. Helen Hoang.
Yes.
The Kiss Quotient. Book 3 in that series is coming out. It's called The Heart Principle. It's coming out in August. And again, I've talked about this book 100 times. I loved it. You tried to read it and you didn't like it.
No.
I haven't read The Bride Test yet, which is book 2. So in book 1, Michael is the hero, and book 2 and 3 are about his cousins. So I'm looking forward to hearing about Quan. He was a very interesting character in the first book.
Yeah, I just couldn't get into it, but that is fine. Everybody has their things. So even though you listen to me complain about Hot and Badgered,
Somebody loves that book.
yeah, I'm sure people love it. Borrow it and see what you think.
Dark. Hey, you hated it. I can't get enough of it.
Oh,
I'm thinking of rereading it
Hated
again.
it so much.
So also, so a couple of people that I don't talk about as often as I should is Alicia Rye. I loved her erotica series. I'm still waiting for a book 3. There are 3 sisters, and there's no book for the cranky sister. Serving Pleasure and Glutton for Pleasure were the 2 books in the series. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Love it. She had really good response to her Forbidden Heart series. I only read 1 book in that. I read the second one, I think, which I liked, and I don't know why I haven't read the rest.
Were there duchesses in it?
There were none. It was contemporary. So she's got a new series, and book 3 is about to come out. And this is called the Modern Love series. So The Right Swipe, Girl Gone Viral. And on February 16th, which is 2 days after Valentine's Day, First Comes Like is the 3rd book in the series. And this has been getting a lot of hype. She's amazing. I love Alicia Rye. Alyssa Cole is another favorite. I've read her Reluctant Royal series.
Are there duchesses?
No, there are queens.
I'm trying here. I'm trying. Do you see
not
how I
happening.
can pronounce it though?
So I had thought that this new book coming out in May called How to Find a Princess was part of her Reluctant Royal series. And I realized when I was doing research, she's got a second series called Runaway Royals. So this is book 2 in that series. So I've read the Reluctant Royal series. I can't say enough good things about it, except for the fact that the Duke of Edinburgh is not the Queen's husband in Duke by Default. That was a real issue for me. But other than that, love her writing. If you're not a romance reader, Alyssa Cole wrote a thriller before Christmas, which got very good reviews and did very well, which I did buy, called No One Is Watching. And people describe it as like Rear Window meets Get Out. So a woman in her neighborhood, all of a sudden her like neighbors are disappearing and everyone seems, they just left. They just moved out of the neighborhood, like people that have been there forever. So it's an interesting kind of contemporary thriller. So if you don't like romance, you can try a little Alyssa Cole thrillers.
I'm just letting you.
I know.
It's your time to shine.
Lisa Klepis has a new book in her Ravenel series, which I haven't read any of, and I'm going to have to try and read it. So coming out in July is Devil in Disguise. I took out from Hoopla Cold Hearted Rake.
I have that Paula Abdul song going through my head.
Which is the first book in the Ravenel series. I'm going to try. I don't know why. I know I started this book and I didn't get very far.
Reading it as an ebook?
Audiobook. So I think that's all for series, but there's a few standalone books that I want to talk about as well. One Last Stop by Casey Mcquisten. They wrote Red, White, and Royal Blue, which came out in 2019, I think. 18, 19.
Red, White, and Royal Blue?
Yeah.
I think it came out in 2018.
So this is
That was also a book that made me angry.
So her new book, One Last Stop, is a time travel romance, which is something that seems to be happening more. We had In a Holidays by Christina Loren, which came out before Christmas. It looks very interesting. I haven't read Red, White, and Royal Blue. I'm all about the tongue twisters today. Speaking of Christina
There
Loren.
are duchesses in Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Christina Loren have a new book coming out in May called The Soulmate Equation. And it's like a science meets like dating where you get your DNA analyzed and then they match you up with someone. So I'm not convinced that I want to read that either. I really want to like Christina Loren. I attended like a Zoom thing for the Fated Mates podcast and they were on and they were so funny and delightful. And I don't like their books.
And I should mention that Christina Loren is two people writing under one name.
Yes. Yeah. Love at First by Kate Claiborne. So one of the first books I read last year in 2020 was Love Lettering by Kate Claiborne, and I really, really loved it. It was a recommendation from my friend Vivian, and I listened to it in a weekend. It was amazingly good, and this is sort of her second. It's a standalone. It isn't part of a series, and this is a kind of a weird, like, love at first hearing each other. It's like a sort of second chance romance. The hero is, I think, talking to the heroine when they're like teenagers, and he instantaneously falls in love with her. And then 16 years later, he comes back. I don't know, somebody in his family has died. He's inherited this building. And then all of a sudden, this woman is there again. So it sounds weird. We'll see how Kate Claiborne does, because I enjoy her very much. So I'm trying to read outside my box this year. Out of my romance box.
You're going to read something that's not romance?
No. I'm going to try and broaden my romance. So I have a few authors that I would like to try. Now, Christina Loren is one of them because, again, I want to like something that they've written. They're so delightful. But I currently have, not physically in my hands right now, but at my desk, is by Milla Vane, and Heart of Blood and Ashes is a huge book that everyone was listening or talking about.
It sounds like dystopian.
No, it's not dystopian. It's barbarian. So I don't.
But it's not on an ice planet.
No, it's not on an ice planet. I mean, I haven't figured that out yet. I've only read 2 pages of it. But it's not of our world. It's 600 pages long, which to me is really big. And I read a medieval romance a couple of years ago by Monica McCarty. And what I don't like about these, and I think this is going to be the problem with this book, is it's like 400 pages of like war and 200 pages of like the story.
Romance.
And I don't care about the war. I don't care.
About the fictional war that doesn't take place on our planet.
Yes.
Yeah. Or that took place in the year of 800.
Well, in one of the Monica McCarty books, the heroine was in prison for a decade in this book. That's how, like, this book went on forever. And she was in a tower, an open tower, exposed to the elements for 10 years in a stone tower. And you expect me to believe that, like,
she came out beautiful?
Yeah. Like,
no.
I mean, I can only stretch my beliefs so far.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't care. For a decade. I don't care.
Okay. What are you reading right now?
Right now, I am reading a bunch of shifter novellas. So, an author that I wanted to try, Janka Snow. It's called the Bear Clan series. The book I'm currently reading is book 2. It's called Barely, Bearly, Mated to the Grizzly.
Oh.
So these are novellas. They're 150 pages. So not much can happen in 150 pages. So these are insta-love books, which I'm not a huge fan of. And because it's like shifter, it's like mating extreme. They meet them and it's like, you're mine. And within 24 hours, it's like, you live with me now. And it's like, no, I don't like this. I thought maybe there would be some differences between the brothers. I'm not seeing that. What did tick me off is that someone recommended, and I can't remember the name of it. It was a wolf shifter book. And it was okay. I was like, okay, this is fine. She's in Romania. European manners are very different than American manners. Okay, whatever. But then the build-up for the second book is so good. And the second book doesn't come out until like May. And I'm just like, oh!
And maybe not until 2024.
Maybe. So I thought I'll try something else by her. I'm not loving it. So I will, Big Bad Wolf. I think that's what the book was called. I will read the second book in that series, but I'm not reading any more of the barely mated books.
I'm just not loving what I am reading right now. So I'm just going to update you. I've read 7 books this year. So I'm a little behind my target because I want to get 100. And in order for me to get 100 books, I have to read like 8 books a month. But I do tend to pick up in the summer. And of the 7 books, all 7 of them fit into the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. So I'm coming along.
Good job.
And I want to remind people that, while it's wintry out, library has lots of online services. You can borrow books from Overdrive and Hoopla, and you can borrow magazines from RB Digital, all from the comfort of your home. We will also mail you books, movies, jigsaw puzzles, absolutely free through the Borrow by Mail service. And if you have any questions about that, you should send us an email at
information@cumberlandpubliclibraries.ca.
You forgot for a minute, didn't
No,
you?
I was thinking of our other email.
And you can also find us on Facebook under Cumberland Public Libraries. You can find the My Two Favorite Librarians group on Facebook. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. What are we talking about next week?
We're talking about banned and challenged books.
Talk to you next week.
Bye.
My Two Favorite Librarians. Brought to you by the Copper Tree Boutique in Dales Grand Market, located in beautiful, historic downtown Amherst.